time for another story time. The video I made about the visual K band that asked me to go to a hotel room with them actually did very well, and a couple of people actually guessed the band right, but I'm not allowed to say which band it is, obviously because of Japanese defamation laws. And again, I'm not allowed to mention the actual band of the member this is about today, so yeah, just letting you know. Okay, so in Japan there is a thing that people say, and it's don't date the 3 B's, and that's bandmen, barmen, and byoshi, which is hairstylists. And I guess people say this because those occupations are always around a lot of women, and therefore people believe that it's easier for them to cheat. I'm not sure if I completely agree with this, because honestly, salarymen tend to cheat a lot even if they're not around other women often. So like, I think in general you can't determine how much a person cheats by their job, but you know, whatever. So today's story is about a visual K bandman. So when I first arrived in Japan, I was out drinking quite a lot with my friend, and then one night we came across this music producer, and we just started hanging out with him, and he would invite us to a lot of parties where we would meet a lot of bandmen. Honestly, it sounds a lot shadier than it does. It sounds like I'm about to set up some kind of like weird trafficking story, but honestly, that guy is kind of a douchebag, not gonna lie. But it wasn't like shady or anything, and all the parties we went to, no one expected us to do anything, or we were just invited because generally a lot of these bands just really have an interest in overseas and getting foreign fans, and they obviously like talking about like British rock music and stuff like that, so it's just nice, you know, they invite a couple of foreigners, and of course like these parties are mostly men, so it's nice to have like cute girls around. And I think one of the first parties I went to with this guy was with the Black Mages, which are the band that make music for Final Fantasy. So that was like a big dream of mine to meet them. And we also went out with, a few times we went out with like female visual K bands, which was a really big thing like 10 years ago. There were a lot of female visual K bands where they all dressed in danzos, so they look like men, which is very much my type. So I was very happy. So yeah, I guess this went on for quite a while. Now and then he would just call us, see if we wanted to go to a party or an izakaya. Normally it was an izakaya, we would just go and we'd eat and drink and chat with a few people and then leave. Like, quite a lot of weird stuff happened during this time, so maybe I'll make a separate video about that if you guys are interested. But for today we're just focusing on this one guy. So one of the parties we went at, I guess this guy noticed me and didn't talk to me, but he wanted to talk to me, but he didn't know if I spoke Japanese, so he was kind of shy, blah blah. So after the party happened, the music producer lined me, and he asked if I wanted to meet up with this one band guy. And honestly, at that time, I think I was just very busy with like fashion events and stuff, and I wasn't really interested in dating. I was having kind of like a bad time with men in general, and honestly I've never been really interested in dating band men, just because I didn't want to be forced into the kind of relationship where I wasn't allowed to talk about it, or I wasn't allowed to be seen with a person, blah blah blah. And actually I ended up getting into one of those relationships, so yeah. So honestly, I didn't really want to meet this guy, but I told my friend, and she was like, that's blah 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 from blah 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 band, you should totally go on a date with him. And I didn't know this band, but I asked a few people, and at that time I think it was quite a popular band, a lot of people had heard of it. I didn't know them, and I think I never cared to look up their music actually. I think I was just very busy, but yeah, so people knew of this guy, and at that time it was quite a popular band. But I think now if you most people in this generation probably wouldn't know of that band. So yeah, I was like, I was kind of on the fence about it, but I was like, nah, I don't really want to. And then my friend said, the music producer said, well, what if you just come to a party while he's there, and if you feel like talking to him, you can. And I said, can I eat for free at this party? He said yes, and I said, of course, why not? So yeah, I ended up being invited to a party, he said. And so it was like at lunchtime, which was hilarious. So it was like a Saturday or something. I got dressed up and I went to this party. I arrived at the izakaya, and it wasn't a party, it was just that guy. And there was a little seat made for me with like a little place setting and everything. So, and he was there waiting in like a little suit, and he had a rose. It was very sweet, not gonna lie, but it just wasn't what I was expecting, and I felt kind of blindsided. Yeah. So anyways, so I walked in, and like, it must, like, I assumed this is the guy, like it had to be. So I sat down and I said, "Hi, when is everyone else getting here?" And he said basically it was just gonna be us, and I was like, "Oh, great." And then he gave me a rose, which was nice. But yeah, at this time I was still very fresh in Japan, and so I spoke Japanese, but it wasn't like amazing. So like, you can only get to a certain point, and I think people forget this about learning a language. Unless you are learning a language or are bilingual, you probably don't get that, like, there is levels. It's not speak Japanese or don't speak Japanese. And at that time, I could have a very nice conversation with you, but honestly, like, it wouldn't go much deeper than that. So once we covered all the pleasantries and talked about ourselves, there just really wasn't anything else to talk about. So it was incredibly awkward because obviously this guy didn't speak English. And I just wasn't attracted to him. Like, he wasn't attractive. Like, I googled the band before, and in the pictures that are heavily edited, he looked okay. In person, he just wasn't attractive, wasn't my type. He was very very shy, and he was just, I don't know, he just wasn't my type. Like, I don't know what to say, he just wasn't my type. So yeah, we had a nice free lunch, I guess. It was a low course meal, and then we chatted and blah blah blah, and then I said goodbye. He was nice though, actually. He was a really respectful guy. He didn't ask me to like go anywhere with him or anything. He just asked to exchange lines, and I had a free lunch. So I was like, okay, I'll exchange lines with you. So we exchanged lines, and then I just went. By this time it was like 4 p.m. or something. So I think I just went to like Harajuku and went shopping. So yeah, but then I went home, and I think we lined each other like a couple of times, just like, "Hey, how are you doing? I'm good, I'm at work," like that kind of thing. It was just like zero attraction there. So then my friend Malmi, the music producer guy, and he's like, "How did it go?" I'm like, first of all, never ever do that again. Jesus Christ. Like, that was terrifying. I never ever want to be put in that situation ever again. And he kind of apologized, but not really, so I was like, fuck this guy. And then, yeah, I just kind of forgot about it, honestly. And then, I think it was like 3 weeks later, out of nowhere, this guy lines me, and he says, "Hi, this is blah blah blah's wife. Leave my fucking husband alone, you whore," or something like that. And I can't remember if this, I feel like this message was in English. I feel like whoever wrote this message either spoke English or took the time to find a translator. And it was a really long message about how I'm a piece of shit for sleeping with people's husbands, which I thought was really weird, because like, I don't think me and this guy even touched hands. I don't even remember brushing past him or anything like that. So I'm like, and I replied, I was like, "Lady, you really have the wrong idea. Like, I don't even know this guy. I don't remember this guy's name. I don't think I remember this guy's name at that time." And I was like, "No one wants your husband. You're fine. Blah 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 blah." And I just forgot about it because it was just really really weird, and I just felt like this guy's just playing around or whatever. So yeah. Then the next day, I get another message, and it's from another account. I guess he managed to message me off a different account, but it's the same guy, and he said, "Hi, that was my manager. I have a female manager. She's like 45. She's obsessed with me, and she thinks that we're gonna get married. I don't know what to do. I'm in like a hostage situation here, and she doesn't let me have any communication with anyone else, and I don't know what to do. I feel so trapped." So yeah, I don't know like what you would have done in that situation. It's like, honestly, I don't know if it was his wife, or if he was married, or if it was his manager holding him hostage, or blah blah blah. But I'm not like equipped to deal with this. I was like, do I call the police? What do I do in that situation? Because it's a man, so he's probably lying, is what I felt like. So I kind of just blocked those numbers, forwarded the messages to the music producer guy. I was like, you deal with this. And then yeah, I just blocked him, so I never heard from him ever again. What's interesting is I think shortly after that he left the band, and they got a new drummer, and then something happened. I think they ended up disbanding, so that was sad. So yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, did his female manager actually hold him hostage and wouldn't let him out? Was it just him lying? Was he married? Like, I don't really know. And that's why, like, I just never and that's why it's just my preference to not date any bandmen, because I don't know, I just feel like this happens more often than it should. Like, I know a lot of girls who are dating these guys, and I don't know, it just feels like it never ends well. The music producer guy actually said to me, he's like, if I was you, I really wouldn't date a bandman, because honestly it always ends up like Nana. And yeah, I can see that happening, honestly. Like, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people that are dating bandmen and their husbands are really, really nice, or like I know guys who have been married for a long, long time. And so yeah, it's definitely possible. I just think that in that industry, relationships are already hard enough, and then when you're putting the weight of an entertainment job on that relationship, it just makes everything much harder. Because like, I think I mentioned this before, but I was in a relationship for like 7 years with someone who was in the visual K band at some point, and it just wasn't it was just kind of annoying, because it was like you couldn't, like, for all intents and purposes, they can't publicly be in a relationship, so it's just kind of like a little bit sad. So yeah, let me know what you think of the story. Let me know if you think that if he was actually lying or if he was telling the truth, because honestly this happened like 8-9 years ago, and I honestly just still don't know. Like, to this day, I just hope he's okay. Like, 'cause I know that he left the man, so like he obviously wasn't well. I tell this kind of story often, mostly because it's kind of like a cautionary tale. Like, if you come to Japan and you start dating around, I want people to have like anecdotal evidence of other things that have happened to other people, so that you can kind of like, you know, because I feel like a lot of people when they come to Japan, they come here with such a clean slate and they're very, very unjaded, and that's a very, very good thing, but it also can be a bad thing. And I think that kind of set me up for failure when I first arrived in Japan, because I was very, very trusting. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any similar stories, or if you've dated any bandmen. Thank you for watching, and as always, please subscribe.